Game-based learning actually was built to say, how can I design games to drive certain competencies which help me through playing a game to either increase my knowledge or moreover to also have certain physical competencies, like for instance surgeons often play very let's say distinct games to train their fingers on surgery. Adventure-based learning, however, is a little bit different and takes it into a different format. Why is it so important to make it stick? And actually, what does stick mean? Stick has two senses. First of all, I stick to my computer and I don't want to stop learning. And second of all, after I have learned, will it stick in my long-term memory? That's the two reasons, that's the two goals we want to achieve by making it stick. The second question is, why do we want to make it stick? The third question is, or let's say a third parameter, is using the limbic systems driver. There are certain limbic system areas which drive our human behavior, which we use, or which we can use in e-learning and adventure initiatives to drive the usage. What are the criteria that make it stick? What are the results we're aiming at? And last but not least, if you want to do it yourself, if you want to, for instance, build adventures, what resources are needed? What do you need to do? When I talk about traditional, when some years ago e-learning started, very often it was following a similar pattern. We had a lot of content, we wanted to make sure people learn the content, so we spread it over them and we made a test at the end to say, did it stick? We pressured them very often because in the beginning we found out, what's the voluntary usage of e-learning? If you today honestly launch an e-learning in your company voluntarily, and let me say if it's 2 hours long, which would be very long, or maybe 1 hour long, what is the finishing rate? 30. That's great. You're building great e-learnings. 2 hours long, voluntary. They don't have to do it. 30% is very good.
Slim to none.
Slim to none. Something like the average in the market is somewhere at 5 to 8% of people doing voluntary e-learnings which are that long. So people try to make them shorter, which is fine. Then the question is, how do you make it stick in the long-term memory? Okay? They were very often in the past, they were not adaptive, which means they didn't adapt to my style of learning or to my competencies. They were forced to finish in a certain pass. Sometimes they were boring, sometimes they were exciting. Very often you hear, I'm actually overloaded with content. Increasing capabilities by setting the right challenges at the right pace. And in that part, find the right, what we call an adventure flow. And that's what we use the criteria for. Because if your capabilities are higher than the challenges you're set, like what is 1 + 1, you're bored. You're not going to really listen anymore. If the challenges are higher than your capabilities, you're stressed out. So what we need to find is the right average between the capabilities and the challenges we set to find an adventure flow. If I tell you, could you please go into that airplane and fly it for me? What are you going to do? No. Nothing. No, unless you're a pilot, you're going to fly it. However, why do you see those lines, people paying €5 to go into a simulator? Very simple. It is safe. So the very first thing you need to look at is, if you want to engage with people, make it a safe environment. So a virtual world gives them a safe environment to try new customer behavior at IKEA. Second of all, power. If you want people to change their behavior, give them something that gives them either more power or something for them. That's what I meant earlier. They will only do it if it's a value for them. So if I do a step forward, the first thing is it safe? Is there liquid on the floor? Is there a chasm? Whatever. The second thing is, why in hell should I move forward? Okay? And the third one, if I'm kind of in an aerobic class and it's kind of fun to move forward, I will also do it. Some people might not do it, but, we don't think that learning and fun are actually opposite. They actually belong together. Confucius said those 3 lines, tell me, I'll forget, show me, I remember, let me do it, and I'm able to. So let them rehearse it. We're also working with the Ludwig-Maximilian University in Munich, Professor Dr. Mandl and Dr. Hense on parts of our projects. And learning by failure is a very strong driver. They shouldn't be frustrated, but let them make mistakes in the virtual world. There's nothing bad about doing mistakes. It's just you have to have a very good electronic coach who helps you to guide where you get the answers. And that's what adventure-based learning does. How can you drive positive emotions? First of all, you can have an attractive user interface. You can have an appealing voice and avatars talking to you. You need to trigger them in a speedy environment. Of course, you cannot rush the people through it, but the people can do it at their own pace, but it still needs to be triggered. Don't push them into something, pull them forward. Okay? It needs to have a self-explanatory interface. I always tell my people, if you don't design this, like it's as easy to use at least as an iPhone, and easier to use like any other website, then we're not going to deploy it. Somebody needs to sit in front of it and immediately be able to use it, or he might click the question marks which are around the floor to find out what's behind those elements. And avoid frustration. Never teach anybody. Let them find the answers themselves or guide them where they can find the answer. Don't tell them, here's the answer.
Sie sprachen in Ihrem Vortrag heute von einem Nutzungsdilemma bei klassischem E-Learning. Was bedeutet das denn?
Das bedeutet, dass E-Learnings nicht in dem Umfang und in der Tiefe benutzt werden, wie der Arbeitgeber es sich wünscht. Das liegt unter anderem daran, dass der Teilnehmer bzw. die Mitarbeiter also sehr schwer filtern können, was für sie relevant ist und was nicht, weil sie halt in einer Informationsstressgesellschaft leben. Ich gebe mal ein Beispiel. Im 17. Jahrhundert hat jemand sein ganzes Leben lang so viel gelernt, wie heute in einer New York Times steht.
Ja, und welche Empfehlungen geben Sie den Verantwortlichen diesbezüglich?
Ja, auf jeden Fall alles, was Sie an Initiativen starten, E-Learnings oder wie wir es machen, das Adventure-Based Learning, teilnehmerzentrisch zu machen. Das heißt, vielleicht gar nicht von vornherein ein Curriculum festzulegen, sondern auch durch die Initiative und durch das System, so wie es bei uns funktioniert, herausfinden lassen, wo die Kompetenzen liegen, wo die Schwächen liegen und dementsprechend gestalten sich die Lehr- und Lernpfade in diesen, wie wir es nennen, Adventures.
Ja, Ihr Adventure-Based Learning scheint ja mit dem konstruktivistischen Lernen verknüpft zu sein. Was genau bedeutet das denn?
Ja, das bedeutet, dass man durch das Lösen von Aufgaben sozusagen sich selber kompetenter macht, anstatt durch einen Lehrer, Tutor oder auch ein Avatar instruiert zu werden. Das heißt, ich löse zum Beispiel in einem Adventure Quizze und gehe durch Dialogsequenzen mit Kunden, in einem Verkaufsszenario zum Beispiel. Und durch das richtige oder falsche Geben von Antworten entwickelt sich die Geschichte und damit entweder ein Ergebnis oder kein Ergebnis und ich bekomme dann die Instruktion, wenn ich sie brauche.